Good afternoon. Thank you once again for joining me. Julian Campbell here. We've got another interesting show lined up for you this week. Right now we're going to cross over to Markey Financial Services, have a chat with Geoff Donegan. Good afternoon, Geoff.
Good afternoon, Julian. How are you today?
I'm very well. Yourself? It's a Thursday kind of Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is, yeah.
So we're going to have a little bit of a chat about advice as opposed to non-advice, and you're an authorised representative of Millennium 3 Financial Services Proprietary Limited, and of course, as usual with our discussions, it's general advice only, and individuals should seek personal advice from an appropriate source before acting on any comments made. But Geoff, what is the difference between advice and no advice?
Well, thanks, Julian, but strangely enough, the difference is answered in the question itself. Advice is provided by an authorised representative of a financial services licensee, whilst no advice means exactly that, no advice. Examples of no advice that jump immediately to mind are the online providers that we see advertising so much on television these days.
Okay, so why should someone seek advice?
Well, life insurance is too important an investment just to Google and hope for the best. When a client sees an authorised representative seeking advice about their insurance needs, the advice that they receive is specifically tailored to their individual needs. It takes into account their current financial situation, including their assets and liabilities, their current and future goals, and their estate planning needs. And most importantly, it must be in the best interest of the client. All of this is presented to the client in a document called a statement of advice.
So, I know this might be a silly question, but what happens if the no advice situation?
Well, exactly that. The client rings a number or goes to the web page and up pops a pile of questions and date of birth, gender, smoking status. The next question is how much cover do you need? Client types in the number, out pops a premium. No explanations given as to the types of the insurance cover that is available or how it will meet needs, goals and objectives. The onus is wholly and solely back on the client to get it right for himself, and there's no advice involved.
So on the face of it, it sounds pretty quick and maybe cheap though.
It does, doesn't it? But it's not always what it seems to be. In many instances, these online companies, they will issue cover immediately. No more questions, no blood tests, no underwriting whatsoever. Unfortunately, what we've seen happen is that many of these policies exclude any pre-existing conditions, and these exclusions can be very broad. For example, if a client has high blood pressure and subsequently has a heart attack, he faces a strong possibility of having a claim denied because high blood pressure may be seen as a symptom of heart disease. And further, the comparisons that we've done show that quite often the premiums is not as cheap as compared to a fully advised and underwritten insurance policy.
So I suppose the real crux of it comes in, okay, I've got an insurance policy, I've paid a few dollars for it, but if I have to get them to pay out on it, that's when the real crunch comes.
Well, that's it. It's the need. It's not getting the policy in the first place. It's to make sure that the policy is going to do what you are paying it to do at the time that it's required.
So can you briefly summarise the differences?
Yeah, sure. Firstly, if you were sick, you wouldn't Google your symptoms and treat yourself. Right, you might Google to have a look, but you would go and see a doctor and get appropriate advice. It is the same here. Secondly, everyone is different. One size does not fit all, and we all have different needs and objectives. Advice should be personal. It should be appropriate to the individual circumstances. And then thirdly, to ensure certainty, policies should be fully underwritten.
Can you just explain that last little bit a bit more? What does it mean to be fully underwritten?
Fully underwritten means that you complete a full application disclosing your health status and also a little bit on family history. The questions asked are sometimes slightly different depending on the type of insurance that you're applying for, but then it goes to an underwriter and they fully assess your past medical history, and the insurance is based on that. So if there's anything in your history that may prove to be a problem to the policy, it is raised there and then before you actually take the policy on board. You don't get a surprise at the end.
So, of course, that's the same with any policy, whether it's life insurance or home contents or whatever. The insurer needs to be fully aware of all the facts, don't they?
Yes, they do, and the client also has a full duty of disclosure to disclose any known facts to the insurer at the time of application as well.
So is there anything else you can offer to assist people in understanding insurance?
Well, I suppose the bottom line is to make sure that you get proper and appropriate personal advice. You should always read the product disclosure statement, which is the brochure supplied by the insurance company, and you should make sure you read and understand the statement of advice. And if you've got any questions, ask your authorised representative and get full explanation.
So we're always hearing on the radio and TV things, product disclosure statement or PDS. So that's what it means, isn't it? We've really got to understand what we're signing up for.
Exactly, and unless you're fully informed, you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah. So Geoff, what will we be discussing in our next session?
Well, Steve will be back in the next fortnight, and I'm sure he'll have something interesting to discuss, or he might put me up here again.
Or someone else from your organisation.
Well, you never know your luck in the big city.
Thanks very much for your time, Geoff. We'll have a chat with you again another time.
Thanks, Julian. Much appreciated.